We're talking actors and directors who put on the shows.
We're talking playwrights and designers who you'll want to know.
From the very first rehearsal to the final curtain call.
We might be off Broadway, but we're talking about it all.
'Cause we're two local gals
with global pals. It's everything, everything, everything theater.
with Benita
And Ellen.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Everything Theater Podcast, the podcast where we talk about
everything theater, whether it's on stage or the theater of the movies. Hi there, I'm Benita Zahn.
I'm Ellen Cribbs, and yes, Benita is mentioning our annual Oscar episode, which is a little away from theater, but not too far, especially in years such as the Wicked movie being nominated.
Mm-hmm. And so many folks who've been on stage who are now are celluloid and may want to go. They want to go both ways, and we can say that here.
Yeah.
Because it's good. Jackson Murphy's with us, the man
Hi.
who is always watching movies. Jackson, before we jump into the Oscars, got to ask about some of the surprises we saw at the SAG Awards, and it really shook stuff up, didn't it?
Yes, it did. Hi, ladies. Thank you for having me on for our 5th time doing Oscar predictions, which is amazing. Oh my gosh, yes. So yeah, last night was, as we're recording this last night, SAG Awards, and I was happy with some of the wins. I voted for SAG Awards about a little over a month ago. I was happy to see Timothée Chalamet winning that Best Actor award, becoming the youngest Best Actor winner in the 31-year SAG Awards history for playing Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown. He is so good in that movie. You know, I didn't think he was right for Willy Wonka, but he is so right for Bob Dylan, and I'm thrilled that he won.
Bravo. And then he created a little bit of controversy when he collected his award. He said he wants to be one of the greats. In watching the greats who were there, what do you think about that? And some agreed with him, said, yeah, say it, go for it, do it.
Absolutely. He's 29 years old, and he's inspired by the industry and so many actors. He's been in this biz a long time, starting out. His first big break movie was about 11 years ago with Interstellar with Matthew McConaughey. But yeah, you take this analogy to sports, and it makes so much sense. So many young athletes look up to the older athletes, those they're watching on TV, all of that. And it just makes so much sense. And I think Timothée Chalamet for this generation is one of the greats. When you look at Dune Part 2, Wonka, these blockbuster movies, when you look at that Call Me By Your Name Oscar nomination he got when I believe he was 22 years old for Best Actor. Beautiful Boy, he was nominated for many awards for that. Now this performance, other movies and roles like Little Women, and collaborating with Greta Gerwig and Lady Bird and the Homeland TV series, and his nature as far as being a nice guy. I met him once at the Critics' Choice Awards, and going on these talk shows, doing SNL, performing the Bob Dylan songs, doing that College Game Day appearance. He is speaking to this generation, and I think he's right on that path. He's right there. And for the 30 and under crowd, they do look at him right now as one of the greats already.
Yeah. Coleman Domingo had an incredible performance in Sing Sing. And, you know, he would have become the first Latin African-American to win?
I think it's not his year, unfortunately. You know, seems like a very nice guy. He had Rustin last year. I liked Rustin more than Sing Sing. I saw Sing Sing back in July, how long ago that movie came out. And I thought it was a little preachy, and the story was messy, and the acting was a little all over the place. So I'm not a huge fan of Sing Sing. Wasn't shocked that it didn't make it into Best Picture. But one of these years, I think he's going to win an Academy Award. Same thing with somebody like Edward Norton, somebody like Greg Kinnear still needs an Oscar. Woody Harrelson still needs an Oscar. And I think Coleman Domingo, one of these years, is going to get that Academy Award and will deserve it because he's a very committed actor to the theater and to the screen.
So Demi Moore takes Best Actress at SAG.
Yeah.
That also had,
Yeah, and I'm glad she won, because it's a heck of a performance in The Substance, and it's a battle between her and Mikey Madison for the Oscar. We'll get into some of these categories, but that performance in The Substance is really good. There is a scene where she is getting ready to possibly go on a date. And she gets off the phone and she goes into the bathroom and she looks into the mirror and she's not happy with how she looks. And she keeps going back and forth. And that scene is the reason why she won. That scene is why she got nominated. It blew me away when I saw that scene during the movie in September. So I am thrilled for Demi Moore, and we will see what happens on Sunday.
Showgirl.
Oh, Pamela Anderson, Last Showgirl. Yeah, did you see that, Benita?
No, I've got a little bit of window left for the SAG, to see
Right.
the stuff online. That and Demi Moore, I've got to still see.
Yeah.
We can talk about Conclave and the timing of that right now. Whew.
Right. Yes, yeah. Last Showgirl I didn't love. I thought it was didn't have a lot going for it. It's a very short film, and about half the movie is people, Pamela Anderson, Jamie Lee Curtis, and others, just kind of looking around, and music behind them. That is the majority of The Last Showgirl. So I was kind of surprised that Pamela and Jamie Lee got SAG nominations, but not shocked that they didn't end up Oscar nominees. And then, yeah, how about what's going on with Pope Francis, saying our thoughts and prayers. And so did the cast of Conclave at the SAG Awards, acknowledging that. And Conclave winning ensemble, which, have either of you seen Conclave?
Yeah.
Okay. I wanted to love this movie, but I felt that every 2 minutes there's a twist. Like, come on. Every 2 minutes, it's like, okay, it's been 2 minutes. Let's throw another twist at you. And it just kept piling on and on and on. But did you get sucked into it, Benita? Did you get...
No, because the minute the guy came in, who would get ultimately, I don't want to give it away if you haven't. I knew he was I knew the ending.
Right.
And
right.
you know the ending about 15 minutes in.
There you go.
But there is a twist.
Right. There's the twist.
A very big twist.
There is the very big twist, which seems like Hollywood is fine. I mean, rewarding Conclave, when you look at those ensembles, I thought at one point Wicked was going to take that ensemble award.
Yeah. I got a question for you. Do you think that Wicked got shut out because of haters?
I think it more has to do with other performances like Zoe Saldana over Ariana Grande, but I bet you Ariana got second most votes in that category for supporting actress. But also we've got part 2 coming. And I think there are a lot of people who are going to look at the Oscar ballot. I've got my ballot here, and they're going to look at all 23 categories and go, all right, I'll reward Wicked for the costumes, and I'll reward Wicked for, I think I've got it for production design. But because part 2 is coming in less than a year, when it comes to the movie itself and the acting, even though we had the big songs already here in part 1 from both actresses, a lot of people may think, I'm going to wait till the next one.
Isn't that fair, though? Shouldn't it be?
Yeah.
I'm right with Jackson with that, though. But I feel that, like, anytime a movie is split into 2 and then they're Oscar fodder, it's like, but it feels odd to vote for it when really it's only half the story is told, right?
Correct. Yes. So I think that's one of the reasons why John M. Chu did not get in Best Director, though he won Critics' Choice, and that was a shocker that he won Critics' Choice. I did not expect that, but John M. Chu not in Director, but maybe for the second one he will be. But then you look at something like Dune, and this is part 2, and Denis Villeneuve, the director, did not get nominated for the first one. He did not get nominated in Director for the second one, and people are like, are we really going to have to wait till the third Dune to reward Denis Villeneuve for creating this sci-fi epic masterpiece? Out of the 10 movies, it's my second favorite of the 10 films up for picture.
Really?
Yeah. A Complete Unknown is number 1 and Dune is number 2. So there's the power of Timothée Chalamet right there.
So do you think that takes the Oscar, A Complete Unknown?
Well, I think it should win. But as far as what's going to win, I believe it's Anora. I believe Anora is winning Best Picture of the Year. As much as I hate Anora and think it absolutely goes nowhere and is dull, that whole living room scene, right? It takes 30 minutes. What in the world were they thinking? So
it's an old story, too.
It's an old story that doesn't have anything new to say. And I remember when it premiered at Cannes last May, And Greta Gerwig was the chair of the committee who decided what was going to win Best Film. And the way she described the movie, it's, you know, the fall, the rise, and the fall again, and the rise again, and all that. And I go, and she says, and the winner is Honora. And I go, is that really the arc? Is that all that it is? And that's all that it is. There is not much to the story. There is
Heck of
not.
a scream.
What's that?
Heck of a scream.
Yeah. That was loud. I saw it at the Woodstock Film Festival. There's a loud screen and it went through the room. But yeah, it's boy, Honora's going to be one of the worst Best Pictures.
What do you think it's going to win?
It seems to have a lot of love and admiration behind it. I think for the character, even though I think Demi might win over Mikey, the character, the relationships, younger voters. I think you're really going to continue to see the younger voters swaying, you know, votes versus the older voters in the next 5 years. And look, it won DGA, it won the WGA, it won the PGA, it won Critics' Choice for Best Picture without winning anything else. And to that I say, you know, maybe it can do it again here at the Oscars, be a rare case of a movie winning picture and nothing else. If literally you look at that Critics' Choice ballot and you go, well, I'm going to vote for other stuff for everything, but the movie that my heart went to the most was Honora, and I go, wow, if we're in that kind of a state, then really people could just, you know, pick willy-nilly Honora, and I think that might be the case again.
Yeah, I will throw out that you should never direct a show right when the Oscars are going up because I've been so busy with The Pillow Man, which by the way closes this weekend. Everybody come check
Which was
it out.
killer.
I was so busy with tech and getting the show running that I have seen 1.5 of the nominees this year. That's
What
why
have
I'm
you
just
seen?
smiling and nodding. So I saw Wicked, of course, and only half of Amelia Perez. I'm sorry, I couldn't make it through.
You couldn't make it through. Interesting.
Through it. I
Wow.
personally just thought it was a very bad film. And it was kind of leading to my question is that people I've spoken to, knowing that I have watched very little, just in general felt like this year's offering, you know, like as you said, it was like there wasn't one that like, oh my gosh, this is obviously like what's going to win. Like not much that got tons of excitement to be kind of the leader, maybe a little bit of a weaker year. What are your thoughts on that, Jackson?
100% correct. You know, I like The Complete Unknown a lot, but it didn't even make my top 10 for the year. I mean, that's the kind of year that we had. Yeah, Amelia Perez, I don't love. I think the third act, which you haven't even seen yet, is messy and where the movie kind of falls apart, not completely, but kind of. It becomes more of a soap opera and typical, as opposed to the first 2/3, which I think Zoe Saldana does an excellent job. She deserves to win supporting actress, and I think she will, because there's a lot that goes into her performance. Selena Gomez is fine, but not great. And Carla Sofia Gascon takes on this role that there's a lot going on with the Amelia Perez title character as well. But Zoe gives the best performance in the film, and yeah, it's kind of in the middle of the pack for me out of the 10. But I saw it at Film Columbia, and the whole theater, I think, was just blown away, wowed by the subject matter, by it being a musical and what it does and what it has to say. I don't think it's perfect, but I knew after I saw it that night, yeah, this will probably get a lot of nominations.
Now, speaking of that, how about kind of going back to Timothy as well, that how much do you think the actor's personality and things that they have done impact their winning? Because there's a big issue with Amelia Perez, right? Where they're like distancing themselves, like,
Right.
we need to get a different track because of things that this actress has said.
Correct. And it looks like, as of this recording, news has come out that Carla will be attending the Oscars now. So Carla will be in attendance. Yeah, personal stuff really comes into play during these award seasons. And, you know, stories come out and all these things happen. It's one of the many angles of the award season. And I do think a campaign, it's not just people voting based on just the performance itself. I wish it was. I wish you could all be completely honest and say we're voting particularly I do that with Critics' Choice and SAG. I look at the performance and try to block out everything else that's going on. But for most people, it's probably not the case. There's a little influence of, oh, Timothy was also on SNL and did such a good job, or oh, Adrian Brody did this great interview, or this Demi Moore had the amazing moment at the Globes. And if she had not won at the Golden Globes, would she be in this position to possibly win right now because of the amazing speech that she gave on top of a great performance? So there's a lot of those factors that go into play. It's not just people voting for the performance.
Yeah, when does the voting end for the Oscars?
It's done. We're voting's over.
Right. So then why does Demi Moore's speech make a difference?
The Globe speech from back in January. Yeah,
right.
speech. Yeah. But people remember when they go, going from one show to the other, people remember that speech, and she gave another great one last night.
That's what I was thinking of.
And she did at Critics' Choice, talking about genre films and horror movies, and that was in a lot of Oscar voters' minds because Critics' Choice got delayed, and that ended up being close to the Oscar voting period. So yeah, speeches can definitely make a difference. And
then too bad Jane Fonda wasn't nominated for something.
Jane Fonda had a lot to say. Jane Fonda had a lot. She was around here. I can't remember the movie, but in early 80s. And I have personally heard from someone very close to me who went on the set of the film she filmed in Albany, that she did push-ups in between each take, that she would do push-ups, which is awesome. And she did an animated film a couple years ago. So I asked the director about her, being so expressive. And she said to me, yeah, in between doing the recordings takes, she would puff out her chest and do all kinds of it. So she's still doing those kind of exercises, making these movies all these years later. So yeah, Jane Fonda at 87? That's unbelievable. She still looks great, and she's still making good movies, these book club films, and many other projects she's a part of.
Okay, so what's your rundown?
What's that?
Drum roll. Start naming your picks.
You want to name it? All right, here we go. Honora's going to win Best Picture. If there's an upset, it's Conclave. And I thought The Brutalist was going to have a shot at one point. Did you see The Brutalist, Benita?
No, that's the one I wanted to ask you about.
Okay.
That's that and the Demi Moore movie are next on my list.
Yeah. Okay. So
a lot of people had a real hard time sitting through The Brutalist.
Yeah, 4 hours long.
Yeah. It's like 3.5. And it had an intermission. What was interesting is, in the theater, you see it, there's a 15-minute intermission, but I got a screener link for the voting, and there was only a 1-minute intermission, so they cut it down. But it's still long, and I only liked about a third of it in the middle. Felicity Jones, not a great performance from her, does not deserve to be on the ballot. Guy Pearce, kind of showy, up for supporting actor. Brody, it's fine, but there's nothing amazing about the film. I didn't find anything about the story extraordinary, even though they try to make it out to be this big, extraordinary, epic story. And then when it comes to the substance, I enjoyed it for the most part. I liked Demi Moore in it very well. Margaret Qualley's great. She should be nominated, but she's not, which is too bad. And then Dennis Quaid. Dennis Quaid is fantastic in The Substance. It's a small role, but man, he just chews up the scenery, and it's juicy, and he plays a pivotal character. So I enjoyed The Substance. I don't think it's phenomenal because I think the story arc is very simple in the end, but there's a lot going on. So I enjoyed that.
Is he nominated?
Quaid is not, no. And I think, there's a lot of political things. He said he supports Trump, and I think that put a huge factor in him not getting nominations. But again, if people just looked at the performance, I think in other years, if it was a non-election year, you could have seen Dennis Quaid show up on one of these for supporting actor. I honestly believe that. Speaking of Trump, you've got Sebastian Stan nominated for playing him in The Apprentice, and Jeremy Strong nominated for playing Roy Cohn, up for supporting actor. The Apprentice, to me, is a film that is flat. Every scene is kind of this. It's monotone. Stan is restrained as Donald Trump, and I actually think Jeremy Strong gives the better performance of the two. and mostly because of what happens in the third act. If you see The Apprentice, the third act is a little more emotional with Roy Cohn, and so I'm glad to see Jeremy Strong on the ballot, because I think it's a good performance and it's different from what we've seen him do before. Unlike Kieran Culkin, his Succession co-star, for A Real Pain. Did you see A Real Pain?
No, I saw 4 of the movies so far.
Right. Okay. So A Real Pain is Kieran Culkin, and it's him doing what he did on Succession. It's sarcasm, it's over the top nature, it's a little emotion. There's a couple moments that I liked, but I found the film to be tedious, even at a short run time. And I found the whole experience to be not as impactful as Eisenberg really thought. Oh, this is going to be a powerhouse. And you don't see it up for Best Picture. So I think Jeremy Strong gives the better performance in that supporting actor group. So for supporting actor, I'll go there. I think Kieran Culkin will win, although it's not the best performance in the group.
Let's hope he has a better speech prepared.
Yeah, that was a little all over the place. That was a little, I don't know. It was heading down some not so good paths, and then he kind of brought it back. But yeah. So Kieran Culkin will win, although Edward Norton should win, and it's his 4th nomination. And I just think one of these years, you got to give it.
Lovely.
And in Birdman too, just if it was not J.K. Simmons that year, I think Edward would have won. Yes, Edward Norton was lovely in it because it was a different side of him that we're not used to seeing. He was kind of he was quieter and a little more mellow, but still had a lot there. We'll go to lead actor, and you know what? Even though Adrian Brody's probably going to win, I'm going to pick Chalamet because I watched A Complete Unknown in mid-December, and I realized, you know what? I think there is a path for him to win this thing, because when you look at the other nominees and some of the other films and the performances, and you go, and the younger voting, and just how good he is as Bob Dylan. So I think this SAG win proves that he can win. So I'm going to pick Chalamet, and we'll see what happens. Heck, let's go for it. It'll be amazing because he will beat Adrian Brody's youngest Best Actor win record. Adrian Brody has that record for winning for The Pianist, and Timothy will beat that record. So that will be quite a moment.
His performance was so layered and quiet. Yeah. You just expected him to burst through his seams.
Yeah.
But never did.
Correct. And the confidence that I didn't see in Willy Wonka, that we see in Bob Dylan, it's a complete 180 for me. And what I love about the film is that it is this kind of at ease nature, the whole thing. It's 2 hours, 20 minutes. It does not feel that long. And you're at ease almost the entire time, which is in line with what Dylan's music was.
Right.
So it was unlike every other experience of a movie this year. So I hope he wins. I think he'll win. It'll probably be Brody. Maybe not. So, but I'm going to pick Timothée Chalamet. Supporting actress will be Zoe Saldana. That's a lock. Kieran Culkin is also a lock at this point. And I'm going to go with Demi Moore for lead. I think she will win. Don't be surprised, though, about some kind of shocker, whether it's Mikey Madison, who did win the BAFTA for Anora, or Cynthia Erivo could sneak in if votes split because of Defying Gravity, or you could see
she's the GOAT, right?
Right. Yeah. And then you could see Fernanda Torres, who won the Golden Globe for actress in a drama for I'm Still Here, a film from Brazil, a good drama. I don't think it's amazing. It's a good performance, but a kind of a quieter, not as showy performance. But it's nice to see her on the ballot. International love could be there for Fernanda Torres, because the Academy voting has expanded so much over the last few years. It is so international now. And that's why I'm Still Here is up for picture, as well as international film, and her for lead actress. So maybe there's a surprise, but I hope it's not a case of Glenn Close or Angela Bassett, where Demi is upset that she doesn't win. She didn't seem upset when she lost the BAFTA to Mikey the other week, as well as the Independent Spirit Award. I think Demi is, thrilled to be in this whole conversation. So if it goes to somebody else, I hope that Demi isn't disappointed, because it's an amazing performance, and I think she will win, but we'll see what happens.
There used to be a time where the song, was a big deal.
Right. Not anymore. Yeah. Well, these last few years, you're right. But here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to pick Diane Warren to finally win. She has been nominated 16 times. And I think with everything going on with Amelia Perez, even though El Mal is the front runner and won the Golden Globe and Critics' Choice, I think those votes are going to split. And I think people are going to look at this year and go, wait, I have an opportunity to maybe see Diane Warren finally win a competitive Oscar. I'm going to pick The Journey, that song she did for the 688. She did win an honorary Oscar a few years ago, but 16 times, this may finally be it. So I'm going to take a chance, roll the dice, and bet on Diane Warren to win.
And the 688 was a lovely movie.
Oh, I'm glad you saw it. Yeah, good.
Yeah, it was lovely.
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, I love getting mail. I watched Blue's Clues when I was a kid and loved when the mail came. And so this is about these women in World War II who were sorting through the mail, which had become a nightmare after years. And a great story, a fascinating story.
And even more so because they were women of color who were so dissed.
Right.
And then to not only have come through, but come through in such amazing fashion. They did the impossible. So it's a feel-good movie. Ellen, if you get a little chance now that your show is just about over, to just catch your breath and watch it, I think it's, a lot of the movies were hard to watch, I think, this collection.
Yeah.
Nickel
Boys is a tough film. It's got a lot of good elements to it, but that's a tough movie. That's about an abusive reform school in Florida. I mean, it's a tough film. It's 2 hours and 20 minutes, and it's good to see it's up for Best Picture and Adapted Screenplay, but it didn't make a lot of money because that's a tough sell. I mean, some of these movies this year were tough sell. Even The Substance is a tough sell to a lot of people. But yeah, 688, directed by Tyler Perry, who I don't think gets enough credit for what he's done. He's an amazing guy. He's a guy. Talk about somebody you should look up to and be inspired by. If there's a Mount Rushmore of TV movie producing people right now you should look up to, put Tyler Perry on that Mount Rushmore, because he has done what he's done with his studios and the people he's supported. Yeah, they gave him an honorary Oscar and an Emmy a couple years ago, which is awesome, but I still think he doesn't get enough credit for all the jobs he's provided and all the work that he's done and the quality of the content. And this is the latest one.
Where are you putting directing?
I'm gonna go with Sean Baker. It could be Brady Corbet for The Brutalist. It could be, but the momentum seems to be shifting. But the thing about Sean Baker, who is nominated for 4 things. He's nominated for producing, directing, writing, and editing Anora. And he could win all 4, or he could get shut out. It could be one of those. But the thing about Sean Baker is he is a lover of cinema. And he has been heavily, talk about speeches, at all these speeches when he's won something, he has talked about putting movies in theaters, keeping movies in theaters, keeping them in theaters for 90 days, 60 days, whatever, some kind of minimum before they go to digital and streaming. And he is a proponent of the theatrical experience. And that factor, to me, to the average Academy voter, puts him over Brady Corbet as far as who someone would vote for. I'm going to vote for the guy who's going to go up on that stage and in front of 20 million viewers say, we have to put 90-day windows on movies being in theaters. I want that speech. That's why Sean Baker is going to win.
How about animated feature? That I actually saw most of those.
Yeah. Okay. What did you like out of the animated features, Ellen? What'd you like?
Oh, man, I love Wallace and Gromit. I don't think it will win, but my God, I just love it. Feathers McGraw is the best character ever created in anything, in my humble opinion.
Yeah, I loved it too.
but everything was really, I mean, Inside Out 2 was lovely. Wild Robot was entertaining, I just didn't see the other 2. I didn't see Flow or Memoir of a Snail.
Okay. Yeah, Wallace and Gromit is my favorite of the 5. I've talked to all these directors of the animated features and the animated shorts. And Wallace and Gromit I would love to see win. But I think it's going to go to Wild Robot, and DreamWorks getting a long overdue non-Shrek, and they had the Wallace and Gromit movie the last time. DreamWorks hasn't won since that Wallace and Gromit film 20 years ago. So it's about time. And Wild Robot is quite an experience. People were so moved by it. I love the music. I thought the voices were great. The music, the sound work, the visuals were excellent. Flow could surprise. It's an 85-minute movie about a cat who kind of wanders around and observes this post-apocalyptic atmosphere, and it's visually striking and enchanting. And Inside Out 2 had a lot going for it as well. I went to Pixar in March and got to talk to the makers of it. And Memoir of a Snail is an adult animated stop motion film about a young woman who felt like she was a snail for much of her life until she had to realize she had to break free of that. And there's a lot of layers to that movie. So it's a good year for animation. And I do think Wild Robot will win the Oscar.
When you look at the live and animated films that were nominated, even those that weren't, is there a theme in filmmaking right now that you see?
I think, especially since COVID, but even a little before that, personal stories. The personal stories are really coming through more than ever, whether it's autobiographical to the director or the writer or the filmmaker, or there's a personal family connection, like A Real Pain. Jesse Eisenberg and Kieran Culkin went to Poland, and they filmed at one of Jesse Eisenberg's family's relatives' houses. So there's these personal connections that you feel. Adrian Brody has had personal connections to what The Brutalist has to say. And many of these other filmmakers, I'm Still Here is very personal to that director. So it's a lot of that. It is personal stories that the filmmakers hope are universal.
Any other surprises or interesting categories you foresee?
Let's see. Yeah, we got a couple minutes left. Visual effects, Better Man. Did you see Better Man? That was a big flashy musical about Robbie Williams, the British singer, and that was kind of wild. So that's up for visuals. I think it'll lose to Dune, but that's up there. And then did you see Maria, about Maria Callas, the opera singer?
No.
Okay.
See that, yeah.
That's it. I wanted to like it a lot more. I didn't completely hate it, but I'm not shocked Angelina's not on the list because that was such a competitive category this year. But it's up for cinematography. It could actually win with its only nomination being for cinematography, but because it does some things with the lighting and black and white and color and different time periods, and it changes things up. So that could be interesting. And I think it'll be very interesting with Conan O'Brien hosting for the very first time. And hopefully he'll have a fun time with it, but also in this year when we had the fires in California and everything else going on, he's a host. He's a professional host. And so to bring that grounded nature to this and have command of everything, and if something were to go wrong for any reason, he's there and will know what to do. He's done so much live to tape TV that I like having him in control of this. It'll be interesting to see what he does with the monologue and everything, but also to talk about everything that's happened amidst all the movies.
So interesting. We usually talk theater, and post COVID, the desire for happy feel good has persisted in the theater. Ellen, of course, didn't follow that. With
I did not.
Just saying. But that's why I wondered if there was some carryover like that in movies, and there isn't.
It's a lot of sad, but also something like Wicked, and bringing people to the movies and bringing people together and having that be a representation of that in Best Picture, kind of like Barbie last year. Barbie was that as well. You had Oppenheimer, which was the more grim film, and you had the blockbuster positive movie. So this year you have the blockbuster more positive movie, which is Wicked, and then you have some other films, and you have something like Conclave, which tonally is a little all over the place, and then you've got A Complete Unknown, which is this refreshing at ease film. So yeah, it's a little bit of everything, but you're right, that in some cases there is, and some cases there isn't, that positive feel-good nature, though you see it a little bit in the animation. When you look at these animated films, those are such personal stories to these filmmakers as well. Inside Out, about anxiety and growing up and family and the bond for Wild Robot with each other, and Memoir of a Snail, the bond you find with various people. So you get a little bit of that, but yeah, it's trying to find that balance amongst all the films.
Well, we'll keep the scorecard, I was going to say, right? And see how.
Yeah. I was going to share really quickly in our last minute that when I saw Wicked, this is to me like what the movies are all about, that it finished and there was like a maybe 10-year-old boy sitting next to me. And as soon as it's finished, he like turned to his mom, gave her the biggest hug. I was just like, "Thank you, Mom. Thank you for taking me to the movies." And it was just,
Isn't that great? That's great.
Mm-hmm.
That's fantastic. That's fantastic. Yeah, love to see it. Love people supporting the movies. You can support the theaters and you can support the streamers. You can support both. There's a way for it all to coexist. Hollywood hasn't fully figured that out yet, but there is a way for that to be all right. And we had some good movies this year, some not so great ones, but I hope it's a fun Oscar show, and I hope everybody enjoys it very much.
Yep.
Pleasure having you, Jackson.
Thank you, ladies. Always great to be here. And follow me on socials, X at LCJ Reviews and Instagram at Lightscam Jackson. I'll be posting stuff all week and during the Oscar show.
Excellent. And for our listeners, enjoy the show on Sunday, and we'll catch you next time. I'm Ellen Cribbs.
And I'm Benita Zahn. Take care.
Thank you so much for listening to the Everything Theater podcast. Special thanks goes out to Alice Grinling for our photography and Justin Friello for composing our amazing theme song. Please remember to subscribe to our podcast and follow us on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. If you want to share your thoughts or what's going on in your theater community, you can reach out to us on social media or through our email at everythingtheaterpodcast@gmail.com. Till next time, it's everything, everything, everything.